What's going on, guys? It's Derek Smith over here with your weekly Monday arm wrestling podcast for 1/6/2020. Over here in the new year, getting ready for this new arm wrestling year, prepping ourselves. Obviously, quick shout out as always, NatFit, Country Crush, and Lion Straps. Some things I don't want to forget that I wanted to get out of the way for this one. First, before I forget, I want to bring up the fact that my buddy Wayne Withers, who recently beat Matt Mask and has a bunch of other great wins under his belt. Dude is a truck. A super strong dude. He started a YouTube channel. He's starting to do some training YouTube channels. I know Wayne said he'd been listening to the podcast. I appreciate all the support, brother. Wayne is definitely like the next dude that needs to be in WAL, all this and that. Guy is crazy strong. Like 6'6", hand bigger than mine, and he uses his height and his hand really well. So, want to let you guys know, you go check that out. I'm not going to lie, Wayne, you really need to work on your editing, but the content is really what people need to look for. The dude is strong as shit, so obviously he knows something, right? So you guys watch it, look for how he's lifting, try to pick up some tips and tricks from Wayne. Also send him some questions, and maybe he'll post the answers on his training videos. So yeah, Wayne Withers, check out his YouTube channel. Yeah, so I got that out of the way. What's going on with me? So I went to Mexico. Yeah, on Saturday. Mexico, I live in Southern California, for those of you guys that don't know, and Mexico is not that far of a drive. So it took us about 3.5 hours to get down to Mexicali, where Hector Beltran had set up a big practice with, I think there was 3 teams from Mexico there, one from Sonora, one from Mexicali, and one from Tijuana, I believe. Hopefully I'm not wrong with that. And then some of the Phoenix arm wrestling guys from Phoenix, Arizona drove down there. And then there was 5 of us from my team that drove down there. Big practice, ended up being, I think close to 40 people or somewhere in there. Big old barbecue and tons of beer and water, and everybody was just arm wrestling and having a good old time. It was awesome to go down there and get a hold of a bunch of arms that I have never arm wrestled with. The general strength levels there were really high. I was really surprised. I don't know why I was surprised. It's a different country, of course. Like, I don't know all those people. But, everybody I got a hold of definitely had something. And so it was great. It was great to get on the table with all those guys and pull. There's a little bit of a language barrier, but still, once you get on the table arm wrestling with somebody, everybody kind of understands what's going on. So, super thankful for them hosting me, Hector, and everybody else that was involved. Sorry, I don't remember everybody's names. You guys, that was awesome. I plan on coming back down there as soon as I can and arm wrestle with everybody again, and maybe I'll set up some super matches. So that was on Saturday. I had my super matches the Saturday before, so these last 2 weekends of arm wrestling has been insane. My arms and bones are just not feeling very good. So I'm just spending some time rehabbing and healing up is my main priority. I also recorded a bunch of the practice down in Mexico, and I will be editing that and uploading that hopefully by the end of the week. I'm also, by the end of tonight, I should be uploading the video for the last practice last Sunday. Sorry, guys. It's hard for me to get all this editing done and everything. I've been really busy. So, that's what's going on with me. Let's get into it, right? First thing, somebody commented on one of my YouTube videos. He was asking how to post questions. He's not on Reddit. He's not well-versed with the Reddit thing. But he did post a bunch of questions, and so I figured, that's what we do, right? We answer training questions. Now, a lot of the questions that this guy posted are very specific training questions as far as related to the gym, right? And how to train for arm wrestling in the gym. Now, before I start really getting into trying to answer these, I want to reiterate, right? I think the way you train in the gym and when and how you prepare and program your lifting changes according to where you're at in your career in arm wrestling, right? So I think that having a solid base of strength is one thing that you need to get, especially when you start. I think that letting your joints adjust to arm wrestling is another really important thing to target. And then definitely general strength, even squats and deadlifts and stuff have their place in arm wrestling as far as strengthening your entire body, right? And then you build on top of that. I feel that the more you get serious about arm wrestling, the more you get into it. After you've already established that you have your joints and everything are built, and you have a general good basis of strength, then I think that it gets really sport specific after that. The further you go into it, I feel like at the top level, everything's really specific. Generally, I mean, every once in a while there might be a lift, but I think generally it's really specific. Now, when I say this stuff, also the training I'm talking about is, I feel like the more I look at it, I feel like there's not one recipe for the top Americans. A lot of the Americans are kind of anomalies, right? A little bit, as far as their results aren't reproduced really easily, right? There's not a lot of people like Todd Hutchings. There's not a lot of people that arm wrestled since they were little kids and broke their elbow like John Brzezinski. There's not a lot, like, there's some really outstanding arm wrestlers in the United States and stuff, but you don't see one recipe for all of them. So when the last year or so, year and a half, my whole thing I've been looking into and trying to learn about is how to get strong for arm wrestling. Like, that is all I care about. Now, I've gotten pretty strong by doing what I've done so far, but it's taken me a long time to get to this point, and I feel like I could have sped it up a lot if I really was knowing what I was doing back in the day. So it's just been trying to narrow it down. Now, I started looking at countries and places that have it ironed out, right? Who are producing world champions and top level arm wrestlers, but they're producing it like consistently. These aren't people that have any kind of crazy outlier. They weren't born with crazy huge hands or super thick tendons or this and that. I mean, they might have a small genetic advantage, like maybe a little bit fast twitch muscle fibers or something like that, but nothing insane, nothing that can't be reproduced. So I feel like a lot of countries, especially in Europe, have closer to a recipe of how to create a world champion, because they tend to produce them often, right? And those people aren't anything crazy. You look at them, they're just your run-of-the-mill guy who was super dedicated and worked his ass off and achieved what he could achieve, right? So that's just how I see it. If other people see it a different way, sorry, that's how I see it. So I started looking into, I've spent the first 9 years of my arm wrestling career learning from Americans, and I learned a ton of awesome stuff, and pretty much everything I know is from, American pullers and stuff like that. But now I'm really looking into, how they get stronger across the pond and what their recipes are. Now, having said that, I am not done with my research. I've been doing a lot. I mentioned to you guys I have Ingen Terzi. He's helping me out answering all my questions and things like that, but there's still a learning curve. I'm still figuring it out. So these questions I'm about to answer, these are to the best of my knowledge as of right now, right? And I hopefully this stays with me. I think I'm getting a lot of it figured out, but I just don't want to, in 2 years I'm doing my podcast again. You guys are like, well, 2 years ago you said something. I'll be like, well, I was still learning some, but I think I got a lot of it figured out, guys. This is just pertaining to how to get stronger in the gym, training very specific for arm wrestling and a very high level, right? Okay. So, now that I got all that disclaimer out of the way, here's the question. Posted by Arm Wrestling Training is his YouTube page. I told him to ask the questions on here, and he said, okay, so let's go question by question. First one is, in what proportion should I train isometrics, high reps, / strength? So how often should he do like static holds or negatives and things like that? So when it comes to strength-based, the stuff I'm being told now and the things I'm looking at, generally everybody that's at a super high level in arm wrestling that makes their gains in the gym lifts very heavy weight and lower reps, right? That's one thing I see pretty consistently all over the world, is that everybody does really heavy weight and lower reps most of the time, unless they're doing rehab work or something else like that, or trying to build endurance specifically. Generally, it's heavy weight, low reps, right? As far as around 6 reps, somewhere in there. So I would keep the weight heavy, and then as far as switching up between isometrics, negatives, concentric movements, dynamic movements, all that stuff, I would just keep it fresh. That's one thing, you always have to keep your muscles guessing, right? So when you're lifting in the gym, don't always do the same thing. Don't always just do statics. So right now it's like, you know what, we'll get into the other questions. Just keep switching it up. Use all of them is what I'll say for this one right now. Next question, in what proportion should I train short range of motion and complete motion? like I said, the more we get into higher level training for arm wrestling, the more specific it is for the sport. So the more shorter range motions you see. Arm wrestling is a game of inches. It's all about who can get stronger, moving your wrist a quarter inch to the side, and that's a huge deal in arm wrestling, right? So a lot of it's really small movements. Okay, so there's going to be definitely a lot of partials and stuff in there. Not to say you shouldn't throw in some full range stuff, but like I said, the higher end you get, the more it replicates arm wrestling, right? Should I do deloading like in strength trainings? I have not heard of anybody doing deloading in arm wrestling, so to be determined. I really, yeah, I've never heard anybody talk about doing deloading weeks and stuff in their programs for arm wrestling. So I'm just gonna leave that unanswered until I learn about that. How much time should I train each muscle, knowing that every one of them has different recovery times? Right now, I'm being told, and what I've been trying to do, and I feel like I'm getting a lot stronger, is I'm doing one muscle. So say I went to the gym today and it was bicep and pronation. I do one large muscle and then one arm wrestling specific muscle. Then I will kill that one muscle out, about 5 different lifts, 6 reps. 6 reps, 2 sets, and just kill it. And so one muscle group, and I isolate and do one muscle group per day, one big muscle group and one arm wrestling muscle group. Something in your wrist and forearms. And then I will give it 1 week to recover before I touch that muscle again. And I'm arm wrestling every other week. But like I said, this all depends on where you're at in your career, guys. So this isn't for beginners. You'll get gains off this, but beginners have different things they need to focus on, as far as they need to get table time. You need to build up those joints. You need to learn how to not break your arm. You need to learn how to arm wrestle. You need to build a general foundation of strength. There's a lot of different. So this is where I'm at right now, guys. That's what I'm focusing on. So I give it a full week. I think that's one big thing that differs between Americans and Europeans is the rest and recovery. Is that Europeans tend to recover all the way. They like to recover and get muscles back up to 100%, is what I'm being told and what I'm seeing. So focus on recovery and giving whatever muscle group you tear down entire week to recover. Let's see. So next one, which are the best handlers? I think you mean which are the best handles. There's a lot of handles that isolate very well, right? There's handles made by Mazurenko, Country Crush, Arm Assassin. There's a million of them, right? There's a lot of handles and they're awesome. Some people even make handles in their garage. All you really need that you have to have if you were in a cave and you were training for arm wrestling is you need something that resembles like a towel or like a martial arts belt, something that will contour to your hand so you can work pronation and rising and everything with that, and something with a rolling handle. It could even be the standard one that comes with a pulley system. Those are what you need, and you could do general arm wrestling lifts with those. Now, the more you want to start isolating and getting really nitpicking on the small muscle groups that you're trying to attack, then those other handles are great. I love those other handles. I have pretty much all of them at this point, I think. But yeah, so I mean, what do you have to have? You need a towel and a rolling handle is what you have to have. But besides that, once it just gets more and more specific as you buy those other handles. So they're all great. I mean, there's no saying which one's the best. I mean, they're all fantastic. So obviously, I'm prone to telling you guys to go pick up your Country Crush handles. They always help me out and have given me a lot of handles. But I mean, handles are great to target specific muscle groups for sure. Okay, moving forward. He says, the multi-spinner feels so unstable, so I can't do real max effort, but for me, it's the best attachment for the instability itself. So the multi-spinner is Devin Larratt's handle. I made a different version of it pretty recently. It's on his channel. There's a video of it. Lorenzo Munoz came up with the idea for the new handle. But if it makes you feel so unstable, then you're doing too much weight. I would suggest starting off with a lightweight where it doesn't make you feel unstable and you can control it, and then slowly working up until you can get heavy with it. Just because you can very jerkily and ugly and not consistently with the right technique and form move some weight doesn't mean you should be doing it that way. I'm a big believer, and then Ingen has confirmed this with me, that having perfect form, or as close to perfect as you can get, perfect form in the gym and at practice, is very, very important, right? So, and this is one thing Americans tend to do, is that we like to just throw the weight. If I got the weight up, great. If I had to sacrifice all form and everything, then cool, I got the weight up. I swung, I did all these ugly lifts just to move the weight. Yeah, but then you're not training your muscles to work together. And then also, when you're trying to seek out that horsepower, you're going to be going to ugly spots to try to find the horsepower. So if you can't do a lift, or even if you can't practice in the right setup, then you're not building the proper muscle memory or muscle connections that you need to convey that strength on the table at a tournament, right? So multi-spinner, take it light, man. Take it light and slowly build it up until you don't feel unstable in those movements, until your wrist is so used to that movement with the multi-spinner that it's concrete, and you can just start getting heavier and heavier and heavier. But people tend to jump to, just because you did move it, but if you moved it with your wrist bent back and it was all wrong, then I don't count that as a good lift. Not until you're doing it with proper form. So say you're doing the high attachment on the multi-spinner, so that it won't count as an actual lift until you have your wrist up, like your radial deviation, your high posting knuckles, right? Until you're doing that and doing the and cupping with it, then that counts as a good lift, right? So just make sure you're doing it properly is the point. Make sure you're keeping your technique and everything sound. He's asking if there's an everyday lift that someone should do for arm wrestling. Would pull-ups count? I mean, pull-ups are great. Pull-ups are fantastic for arm wrestling. I do some. I'm 340 pounds and 6'8", and the longest arms you've ever seen. So I do some pull-ups, but it's definitely not a huge focal point for me. But I do believe in them, and I do believe that they have a important part to play in arm wrestling. I talked about it last podcast a little bit about how, it makes it so you're used to holding all the weight in your hands, right? You're used to trusting everything into your hands and your fingers and your wrist, right? So your whole body is sitting there and just everything's hinging on your hand and wrist. So it creates really good connection points between your body. So pull-ups are fantastic. If you can do pull-ups, even if they're light and stuff like that, or assisted pull-ups, I say go for it. It can do nothing but help, for sure. And I think that's all the questions he posted this time. So hopefully I got to your questions, man. Thanks for asking them. Now let's get on to the Reddit stuff, guys. Back to the normal stuff we're usually used to doing here. All right, so starting above my last podcast, posted by TNS 2003, Arm Wrestling Training. Hey everyone, my name is Thanasis, and I am 16 years old. I want some advices for arm wrestling. I'm exercising every day, abs, push-ups, etc., but I want to start to train more my hands for be more powerful. In addition, I exercise in my home, and I just want some exercises which I can do them in my home for getting more power in my hands. From arm until fingers is the hand. Thank you so much for your time, Thanasis. So you want some stuff that you can do at home to strengthen your hand. This is what you posted, right? Okay, so at home in your hand, basically I see arm wrestling right now in regards to the hand as there's the wrist and there's the fingers, and those are separate, right? I think having things in the palm of your hand, basically from the bottom of your fingers to your wrist, that part, that's your wrist, right? That's your wrist controls that. That's one thing to focus on. And then actual finger training, I think, has a place in arm wrestling. I don't think it's crushing strength, but I think general cupping strength, so pressure on the tips of your fingers, is very important for arm wrestling. I do. I attribute a lot of what little success I've had to the fact that I have strong fingers. I compete in grip tournaments every once in a while, and I do pretty well. Tips of your fingers, guys. So any grippers I have, I do all the pressure is always on the tips of my fingers. So anyway, we're breaking it down into hand, wrist work and finger work. If you have something you can do pull-ups on, maybe outside or in a door frame or something like that, I would suggest doing pull-ups. So as far as like calisthenics things you can do like in your house with body weight, arm wrestling, there's not a ton of them, right? There's pull-ups, push-ups. We'll do general, work your triceps, your chest, your front delts and stuff like that. But I would say you need a couple weights or at least rubber bands, something to do in your house. Yeah, there's not. I mean, you could do fingertip push-ups. Those are ones. I know a lot of Ivan Matyushenko, a Russian arm wrestler who's like a legend. He's a legend hook arm wrestler. Dude's amazing. Anyway, he always promoted doing fingertip push-ups a lot. So just push-ups on your fingertips, basically. Starting, you start slowly on your push-ups on your knees on your fingertips, and slowly gain until you get them doing regular push-ups on your fingertips. That was one he promoted. Some people like to stick their hand and wrist inside a bucket of rice or sand and move their hand around, which will strengthen your wrist and your hand. You can put your hand in the bucket of rice and then open your hand all the way up and try to close it. Stuff like that, moving your hand around, that's supposed to strengthen it. Everything after that, man, really kind of gets into, general yard work, shoveling and things like that will always strengthen your hand and wrist. But after that, you're going to want to start getting with rubber bands and weights. And then not a ton of gains you can make just with calisthenics in your house, right? Yeah, and that's pretty much all I got for you, man. As far as, unless you want to start talking about you having rubber bands and weights, then I can give you some more stuff for sure. But just keep training, keep building that general base. Best thing you can do is arm wrestle, man. If you can arm wrestle anybody, do that safely. Always keep everything close to your body. Always pull backwards. Keep your elbows close to your belly button as you can. But stay safe and keep arm wrestling. And that's going to be the best thing you can do right now to build up those joints and to get yourself generally stronger for arm wrestling is just to arm wrestle. Moving forward, posted by Sam86UK. Thumb pain defending against top roll. Fairly new to arm wrestling. I've been training for about a year without a club, but with a few mates and in a gym. I have strong biceps, but a short forearm and small hands. And a small thumb. One of the people I pull against, when he pronates, my fingers don't feel under threat, but he applies an awful lot of pressure to my thumb to the point that if I try to defend against it, I feel like my thumb will snap. Is this a hand strength weakness, a setup issue, or a positioning issue during the match? What's the best way to remedy this? Okay, so you have a short arm and small hand and small thumb. Small thumb is beneficial to arm wrestling. That is a good thing to have for arm wrestling, a small thumb, in my opinion. Generally, you can always tuck your thumb and make it smaller, and you can make them eat into your hand. If you have a really long thumb, then it's hard to hide that big old knuckle, and then people can kind of grab you pretty high on your thumb. But if you have a small thumb, you can hide it a little better, and people have to grip really deep into your hand. As long as the referees are making sure your knuckles seen, they have to grip low into your hand, which allows you to generally get a better bite on the back of their hand. So you're wondering if this is a hand strength weakness, a setup issue, or positioning issue during the match. Well, depending, if you have a small hand, if you're putting yourself in a situation where you're trying to hold on to people and you have a small hand, then you're putting yourself at a disadvantage. Unless you're in the proper weight class of people with the same hand size, then you're a little bit at a disadvantage. I've never heard of an advantage to having a small hand. That's the one thing that there's no real advantage to. There's definitely an advantage to having longer fingers, your forefingers, not your thumb. So having said that, don't put yourself in, if you're arm wrestling dudes that all have bigger hands than you, don't put yourself in a situation where you need to hold on and use your fingers, right? Because that wouldn't make sense because you have a small hand. So stop trying to hold on to things with your small hand, So that's not saying that you shouldn't strengthen your wrist and your fingers. You should, because there'll be a time and a place where you need that. But don't bank on your fingers holding dudes with really thick, giant hands. It's just not going to be great for you. So that means one of two things. Either you need to get really good in the straps and really good at slipping and running, or you need to get really, really fast in shooting for what you need, right? So offensively, so say you want to hook or top roll, it would have to be really explosive into shooting into getting a hold of what you need. This is assuming you're arm wrestling people with bigger hands than you, right? Or just get really good in the straps and get really good to running and not trying to hold on to people, and then you can apply all your power in the straps. That's the best advice I can give people with small hands. I've had people on my team, and I've known so many people over the years who I told them that immediately when they first started arm wrestling, and they just wouldn't listen. They wanted to keep arm wrestling, the normal style, and they didn't put any special emphasis on getting good in the straps or anything like that, or being super explosive. And then eventually one day when they get to a higher level of arm wrestling and pro and stuff like that, then they're having trouble. They can't hold on to people, not at that level, right? Not with you if you have a big disadvantage in having small fingers. You have to be an offensive style of arm wrestler if you're going to have small fingers for your class. That's my opinion. So, yeah, I would say you might be holding on too much to this guy with your small finger. I'd say that you need to tuck your thumb a little bit more and make him eat into your hand a little bit, and then be more offensive minded. And then during the match, I would say, man, it just sounds like you're holding on for dear life, and this dude's rolling you over and taking your thumb with it. So stop holding on so much, man. That'd be the best way to remedy that. As far as, if you're asking for the best way to remedy your thumb pain, I am not a doctor, man. Ice it. Take some time. All right, moving forward. Posted by, I think it's Formal, FRMAL. Good bicep exercises with dumbbells. Well, dumbbell curls are a good one to do with dumbbells. With dumbbells, you can do a lot, man. You can, hit your forearms, you can hit your brachialis, you can hit everything. So if you're talking about just your biceps, then your biceps supinate and they contract your arm, the flexion, right? So when I do bicep curls, I like to have my wrist flat, if not bent backwards. I know it looks really weird, but I don't want to add any wrist forearm flexion while I'm doing my curls, because it just shortens my lever and makes it hard, or makes it easier, right? So I like to leave my wrist straight or backwards, so that way I'm not tempted. And then I like to pronate as I do my bicep curls. I like to have basically, if I was doing palm up facing the sky and I do a regular bicep curl, I would have the side of the dumbbell that's facing the inside of my body. I would have that almost face the sky by the time I'm done with the curl. So I really supinate as I do the curls up to further focus on my bicep. Then you want to worry about whether you're getting on your long head or your short head of your bicep. That's the difference between putting your elbow forward, like on a preacher curl, or having your elbow behind you is how you switch up between your long head and your short head of your bicep. So alternate between those, because arm wrestling actually uses both of them. Mostly, you have your elbow in front of you in your arm wrestling, but there's times where you start driving sideways and stuff, and your elbow will actually start getting to the side of your body or behind, and so you want to get strong in all those points. So when doing bicep curls, do some with your elbow in front of you, some with your elbow behind you. Don't cheat by having your wrist curled in. Keep your wrist straight, if not bent backwards, and supinate the hell out of that dumbbell. That's my best advice I got for you, man. So you can do, statics, negatives, concentric movements. You could do like explosive, like ballistic style of lifting. There's a few different ways you could attack those dumbbells. But yeah, you can make a lot of gains with dumbbells, especially if you have some heavy ones. All right, moving forward. Posted by Luca9129. Is Trubin leaving arm wrestling for boxing? It's a 20-minute video posted on Arm Bets TV, basically talking about Trubin, and they go to his hometown and they're following him around, and he's showing them how he likes to go in the wilderness and bathe underneath the waterfalls, and he likes to do boxing in his spare time in the off season. So no, he's not leaving arm wrestling for boxing. He likes to do boxing for fun. He is a giant dude trying to do boxing. You guys got to watch this video. It looks like okay, all respect to Trubin. Dude's amazing, amazing arm wrestler. I've gripped up with him. He destroyed me. Not even close. Dude's amazing. So, having said that, wow, Trubin, your big ass throwing those punches is you're too big and heavy, man. I'm too big and heavy. So it takes one to know one. But you know what? It's good for the cardio and stuff like that. But I don't know if he should quit his day job anytime soon, or arm wrestling. So yeah, no, Trubin's not leaving for boxing. Posted by Ryan Blue Bowen, Hectors of Vectors. Yeah, this is Devin and Ryan just kind of talking back and forth. I think this is one where Ryan's just asking a bunch of questions and talking about Todd Hutchings and training in general, and Devin's giving a bunch of tips, like he does. Really good video, a lot of information always from Devin, as long as you can get through all the cryptic weird messages he gives out there. But yeah, definitely check that out. Next video was posted by Best Glazard Devin Larrett straight pull New Year's Eve lifting, and it's Devin lifting. I didn't watch this. Damn. See, every once in a while I skip one, guys. I did not see this Devin video of him doing this. So I have no opinion on it. I'll have to watch that and let you guys know what I think. It looks like it's Devin lifting at his house on that beat up table he has, and probably putting some new records up there, lifting records. Because I know he's trying to get as big and strong as he can right now. Moving forward, posted by Ship OJSP. WAL table dimensions. Does anyone have an exact WAL table dimensions and layout of the pads? WF regulation table layout is public, but I can't find anything on WAL tables except the height, length, and width. You know what? I've never seen anybody post the dimensions of the WAL table. Maybe messaging one of the officials or someone, or WAL itself, and trying to get the layout. Or I know Combat Arms Sports was building their tables for them, so I think Combat Arms Sports might be able to give you the dimensions if nobody else already posted that. But yeah, WAL. I think everything else is pretty much traditional sizing besides the elbow pads. I believe the elbow pads are 2 inches bigger on the back. I think that's the only difference that I know of. I could be wrong though. Yeah, hopefully you find those, man. Yeah, I would message either WAL Underground and maybe they have someone get back to you, or I'd message the Combat Arms Sports guys on Facebook and ask them for the dimensions, and hopefully they would shoot those over to you. Yeah. All right, moving forward, posted by Suma Beast. Biceps. Who's got the best biceps in arm wrestling? From a generation ago, I would say Canadian puller Tony Senger. Siplankov certainly had impressive guns. So you're talking about just biceps, like aesthetically. Who had the coolest biceps in arm wrestling? Oh man, Denis Siplankov. Obviously he has the world strict curl record and stuff. I believe he still has it, and his biceps are insane. I don't know. Rob Vigent has some crazy peaks going on there. Man, who's gun show? Devin has them, but people like Devin with those long arms never gonna have the biggest bicep. Yeah, I mean, probably Denis Siplankov, I'd imagine. That's probably your best bet as far as, I'm really racking my brain here. I'm giving it to Denis. Denis Siplankov is my vote. Yep. Moving forward, is Larry actually, posted by Fat Chicks Love You. Is Larry actually legit at arm wrestling? I'm not really sure who he is beating here. They seem to be semi-serious at least. Yeah, so I watched this video like twice. Larry went to some big tournament in Dubai. I don't know if he's still out in Dubai. I think Larry Wheels we're talking about. For those of you that don't know who Larry Wheels is, he was a powerlifter who was really, really good. I think he broke a ton of like world records, I think. But really high level powerlifter who got into bodybuilding as well and started doing professional bodybuilding. And I guess he was doing okay at that as well. And then he transitioned into strongman and started training for strongman. Did a couple shows of that, and he's crazy. Dude is wildly crazy strong. Has a very big following on Instagram and YouTube and stuff like that, in his YouTube channel. And but as he's training for all these things, he's slowly got into arm wrestling. The first time I ever heard of him arm wrestling was with me and Alex Toproll at the LA Fit Expo 2 years ago, I think. That was the first time I ever saw him get on the table, and we were really excited about that. But since then, he's arm wrestled quite a few times, and now he's training, I think, pretty consistently for arm wrestling out in Dubai. I mean, he's still training all his powerlifting stuff and still competing. I don't know if he's doing strongman right now, but he's been training for arm wrestling, it looks like, pretty consistently. When I arm wrestled with him, he didn't have much. Alex Toproll's wife, she actually beat him twice. But it's only not because he doesn't have the strength, it's because he didn't know how to convey it. He wasn't sure how to put it all together yet. So I'm sure it's not going to be very hard for him to make sizable leaps and bounds within arm wrestling as soon as he learns how to use all those muscles he has. So I saw this guy pick up 400 pounds on I think actually it was like 440 pounds on an axle bar, like his first time. He doesn't even train grip specifically. He just walked up and grabbed it and picked it up, which is insane. I have I have a good amount bigger hand than Larry, and I can't. I was struggling trying to get up 400 pounds on an axle bar. So it's amazing. This dude's crazy strong. Hopefully he gets into arm wrestling. He'll be another person with a huge following like Juji Mufu to get into arm wrestling. And he's been releasing pretty consistent videos of him arm wrestling and training with them. So that's who Larry Wheels is. In this video, he's arm wrestling with some guys at the tournament. I guess he's after pulling with them or something like that. And he's actually beating some known people. And then he has a match with Suhail Khan or Kane. And I guess he's one of the top guys in India. And Larry beats him in these matches. Now, I don't know. It is Larry's channel, so who knows? Who knows if it's real? Who knows if it was staged? Suhail is supposed to be really strong. I haven't really seen him compete in any other giant tournaments, so I don't know where his levels are at. But it looks like Larry beats him. It actually looks kind of legit, or at least looks like Larry's trying really hard. So yeah, I mean, if that was legit, congratulations, Larry. If not, then it's really awesome that he's arm wrestling still, and we need someone like that, more people like that in our sport. So thank you for arm wrestling regardless. Moving forward, posted by NNQ2603, Hook Training 3, Levon version, 105 kg. So Hook Training 1 and 2 was when Devin Larratt was doing those bicep curls in his gym at his house, I think, or something like that. And they were like crazy heavy. I think he got like 200 pounds or something like that. It's not regular bicep curl. It's basically like a table curl, right? He locks in his bicep or his brachialis and then stands up tall, leans over the bench, and then drives back up while keeping the same angle, which is not easy at all. Crazy hard. Mad respect. Way more weight than I can do. But yeah, it's not like a regular bicep curl. So Levon is doing it as well, but it's different. Levon is actually, I don't know how much weight he has here, 105 kg. Levon's holding the dumbbell, and he doesn't have it out to a 90, but he has it pretty far out there. It's definitely super impressive. A lot of weight. And he's doing like basically like partial curls on a preacher curl bench, on a preacher bench. He's doing basically like partial curls, one-handed, but with a ton of weight. So, yeah, Levon's a monster. I don't think any of us are shocked by that. Dude can hold some serious weight. I would like to see him go for the strict curl record and try to beat Dennis's record. That would be awesome. I think Levon might actually be able to do that. So, but yeah, guys, check this video out if you guys want to see some real crazy power. Moving forward, posted by Mick Moeller, Devin Larratt, Don't Forget About Me. It's a highlight reel of Devin's. It's actually a really, really good one. I immediately, after I watched it like 2 more times, and then I shared it everywhere. I shared it on Facebook and all the different arm wrestling training groups and stuff like that. I actually messaged it to Devin. It's a really, really well put together one, which is crazy because this guy's YouTube channel is really small. He had like 4 subscribers and stuff like that, and some other videos I don't think he worked on too hard, and just randomly put this one up, and it's like really high level, really good video. So you guys check out that highlight video, and definitely give this guy a follow or a subscribe. Hopefully he keeps putting out good content like that. After this is posted by NNQ2603, Travis Bagent Challenge, Paul Lynn Exercise. This is a video where Paul Lynn and Travis try to do these, basically a 5-minute workout. I think it was a bunch of sit-ups and a bunch of pull-ups, and then, I don't even know what these things are called, where you take your dumbbell and you take it from the ground and you rise it straight up over your head one-handed till it's completely over your head. I can't think of the name of that lift. But they do like a 5-minute session, and they do a bunch of those lifts. Basically, Paul Lynn makes Travis look really out of shape, and because Paul Lynn's a monster, so he kills out that workout immediately, and then Travis, I don't think he gets past the pull-ups part. Not that I would either, dude, not at all. Paul, you're a monster. So it's good to see you guys working out and to see how good a shape you are in. I can't wait to see what Paul Lynn does this next season. Hopefully he gets some really good shots. I think everybody wants to see how strong Paul really is and watch him really test himself out there on the WAL stage. So, and it's good to see Travis getting his butt kicked in something. All right, moving forward. Posted by Thom John 12. Uncle John versus Jeff Dabe. Now this is on Uncle John's arm wrestling show, Uncle John's YouTube channel. I haven't seen too much of his stuff. I've seen some. He's very well-spoken individual. I had no idea about his arm wrestling capabilities or not, but I do know Jeff Dabe, and I have arm wrestled against Jeff, and I've been in the finals with him at the LA Fit Expo like last year, 2 years ago. I think it was, left-handed. Anyway, so in this video, it's basically out of practice, and Uncle John pins Jeff a couple times when he first gets there, and then later on, Jeff starts destroying him in the straps, and John's breaking it all down exactly how and why it works, and why Jeff Dabe is strong. definitely an interesting video. It's surprising that John was attacking Jeff's hand. Most people don't. Most people try to shoot in and shoot sideways. And he had some success jumping into Jeff Dabe's hand. So, yeah, that's awesome. I mean, practicing with Jeff is a trip, man. When he grabs a hold of you with those big old hands, it's kind of weird. Because I'm not used to people having that much coverage on the back of my hand, and so trying to attack those huge hands is kind of not what most people do. But anyway, check out Uncle John's channel. Definitely has some good stuff like that. The guy is he's a smart dude, and so listening to him talk about arm wrestling is pretty interesting. All right, moving forward, posted by the Cookie Realm. How do I get stronger in arm wrestling and beat someone who I wasn't able to beat? Okay. Arm wrestle often. I mean, there's a lot of ways for me to answer this question. This is a very vague question. How do I get stronger in arm wrestling and beat someone who I wasn't able to beat? Yeah. So arm wrestle often would be one as far as getting stronger. When you are arm wrestling them, if you're just like arm wrestling someone on a dinner table, then pull backwards instead of going sideways. Because when you pull backwards, if they don't know what they're doing as well, then they're not going to be defending backwards, and you can really spread them out. And once you spread their arm out, then go sideways. Don't break your arm, of course. I always say that disclaimer, do not break your arm, please. But yeah, generally, once you pull backwards, you spread them out, and then when you're tight, then you're strong, and when they're spread out, then they're weak, right? That's the whole idea between arm wrestling, right? That's why we're called pullers. That's why we pull on the table. There's generally always a sensation of pulling backwards in arm wrestling for the most part. So do that. Pull backwards. Cover up their thumb as much as you can. And then pull backwards, and you should be okay. Yeah, I mean, those are cheats. Those are your standard life hack, easy cheats to do on people in arm wrestling on a dinner table. And to get stronger, man, just arm wrestle more. Go do some pull-ups. That's all the advice. I mean, a vague question, I gotta give you a vague answer. Yeah. So, moving forward, posted by Kiki Boom Boom. Rookie with a new training idea. What pulls on muscles in every random direction? Tug of war with an Argentine dogo. Any strong dog will do, but holy shit, a rope and tugging is better than simple one-dimensional cables or weights. Seriously, arm wrestle your dog, lol. I feel I just got a crazy workout with a rope and pulling against the dog. I have actually wrestled with a dog and like a rope before, and it kind of crossed my mind, but not at any serious level. I mean, yeah, you can have someone yank on you because you can put the rope around your hand, like, have it hit pronation and have the dog yank on that. I get it. But who knows the lift and you're doing, and who knows how hard the dog's pulling, and you're going to be in some weird-ass angle trying to pronate because you're playing with a dog like, on the floor. It's not... There's a lot of reasons why it's not something that's reliable, but it's fun to do. If you have a dog and you're bored and you have a rope and your arms aren't hurting from practice, then go for it, man. But I don't know about a whole new training regimen about training against your dogs. I don't know how far that'll take you. Moving forward, posted by Yados. Top roll killer dark side move? Question mark. So I got a tip for a move from somebody, but I don't know how ethical or legal it is. Basically, in order to protect yourself from a top roll, you put your ring finger over your pinky and you press down as hard as you can, somehow limiting the opponent's movement. Is this a thing? I've never heard of this until yesterday, and it seems to work, but I don't know what to say about it. But, okay, so I commented on this already, but basically, first off, it's not unethical. That's really weird. It's just, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Why would you so you already have your ring finger and your pinky finger on the back of their wrist, right? So say combined, you're applying 20 pounds of pressure with your ring finger and your pinky finger on the back of their hand. But you have it spread over two different areas, right? Because you're using two different fingers. So basically, you put your ring finger on top of your pinky finger. So now you're only using, you cut your surface area in half. The amount of pressure you're putting was spread over a wider area, but now it's pinpointed onto one part because you have two fingers on top, or two fingers stacked up, and then you're applying the same amount of pressure. It's still going to be 20 pounds of force. So that just seems ridiculous to me. I mean, maybe I'll try it at practice, but I just don't see the benefit of it because you want more coverage. Arm wrestling, especially if you're being defensive and trying to destroy someone's top roll, is all about getting coverage and holding them down if you're trying to contain them. So yeah, I don't understand the whole thing about putting your ring finger on top of your pinky finger, but do what you're gonna do, yo. Moving forward, posted by why am I using Reddit? LOL, and it's a picture of that arm wrestling game where there's the two little guys and you push the buttons and they arm wrestle. I have that somewhere in one of my cabinets there. Someone got it for me a long time ago. Yep, that thing exists. It's a little arm wrestling game. Moving forward, posted by Minhale. Do heavier guys have an advantage in doing a press? The shoulder press seems like an obvious tool for someone with significant upper body mass, and yet I rarely see this move performed, even in the heavyweight class. What gives? That's true. You don't see it super often. You've seen Jerry do it, obviously. Devin's done it a couple times. Michael Todd, his main weapon before the King's move was a press, a shoulder roll. But you don't see it a ton. When I went to Worlds, there was a couple guys that were doing it. I think the thing is that when it comes to presses and shoulder rolls, specifically like a flop wrist press, it limits options, right? You can't transition very well from a press. So think Jerry Caderet, right? He's pressing, his wrist is flop back. Now, say he wants to hook. Well, he would have to go backwards, like a significant amount, lighten up all his pressure, and then try to regain his wrist to hook. Okay, so say he's in a flop wrist press and he wants to top roll. He would have to go backwards, lighten up all the pressure on his wrist, slide his elbow forward, and try to top roll somebody. So basically, when you get into a press or a shoulder roll, well, a shoulder roll is a little bit different because I consider a shoulder roll where you maintain your hand and your wrist, you don't lose it. So a shoulder roll can quickly transition into a hook if you want it to. But the general idea is pressing and full shoulder commitment limits the amount of options that you have on the table. It's hard to transition from anything there. So if a guy stops you in your press, pretty much all you can do is just keep pressing as hard as you can and hope he gets tired. All right, you can't make a lot of adjustments or tweaks in the press. You can just try to get your shoulder more and more over it and press it down. So as far as heavier guys doing it, yeah, I mean, heavier guys, hopefully you're talking about like bigger guys in general, well, they can get further over their arm and their shoulder further over the top of the table, and so they're able to press down a little bit harder because they can get it more inside, closer to their core. So, yeah, I guess heavier, bigger guys have an advantage in a press slightly because they can get over it. But, yeah, I mean, I think that's why you don't see a ton of people doing it, though, because when someone does beat it or someone does stop you, then you're kind of screwed a little bit. It's kind of similar to a low hand top roll. A low hand top roll, great, super powerful move, but if someone stops it, you don't have a lot of options. You've now given up your wrist. You can't go back into a hook, really, because you've dumped all your wrist. You can't high hand top roll all of a sudden, right? All you can do, you can try to press and slip, but that's about it. So those are moves that really limit your options if they get stopped, right? Okay, moving forward, posted by Ray Tracani. It's a video of Storm Chilino doing 22 pull-ups on the 3-inch Monster Crush. The 3-inch Monster Crush is a huge-ass handle, right? It's two hands. It requires two hands. And Storm Chilino does 22 pull-ups with his gigantic spinning handle. Storm Chilino has the strongest hand and wrist I've ever felt from especially anyone around 200 pounds. It's insane. Like, it's... I've never felt that from anybody else. It's not even close. I mean, I've felt iron wrists. I've pulled with Trubin and stuff a little bit. I've definitely felt, amazingly strong people. But Storm's is like, I don't know, that's wild. It's crazy. It's crazy how strong Storm's hand and wrist are. I remember the first time we ever pulled, he was a lot lighter, and we had a war at practice of me trying to take his wrist, and I outweighed him by like 120 pounds. Dude has a crazy iron wrist, and he's known for that. Just stupid hand and wrist strength. So yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all for Storm to be able to do that. I would have guessed he could do that. I mean, the dude's a freak. So, congratulations, Storm. Storm, you're a monster. All right, moving forward. Posted by Neither Stay. Tables, best bang for your buck for tables. Oh, asking where to buy tables. There's a lot of places you can get tables. But best bang best bang for your buck. That would be, in my opinion, Legacy arm wrestling tables, although I'm just speaking out of my ass because I haven't even got one or used it yet. But from what I hear, everybody's saying that the tables are really high quality. They're $350 plus shipping, supposedly, and he also does half tables. So check that out. I mean, that's the cheapest one, right? And then you have, your Combat Arm Sports tables. You have my arm wrestling tables from Frank Hurst. You have Mazarenko tables. I don't know if there's anybody else I'm missing. Or you just try to build one your own. That's actually the best bang for your buck is you building your own arm wrestling table for about $100, $110. Get the dimensions, go start cutting and drilling and fabric, and sewing the fabric and stuff for the pads and stuff, and you can make your own if you're handy like that, which I am not. Luckily, I have Leo Landeros on my team, who's the most handy guy ever. Thanks, Leo, for everything you do. All right, guys, that's the end of this podcast. That's everything on the Reddit. Hopefully, I went over and answered any questions you guys could think. If you have any more from me, I would love to hear it. I'm always trying to learn as well, guys. I'm on this trek along with you. This is like a huge part of my life, and I dedicate so much time and effort to learning and growing as an arm wrestler. So hopefully you guys come along with me on this journey, and we keep growing as a cohesive unit. So I will talk to you guys next week. Go out there, be bold as shit. Keep applying yourselves. Go for those wins. Dig deep. And I'll talk to you guys next week. See you.